Hey everyone, it's Jennifer Brown here, director of BACA Wines. I'm so excited to be hosting another happy hour with you all. We have an awesome lineup of wines, and we also have a wonderful guest, Joe Yoon. He is a stretch master. He wrote a wonderful book called Better Stretching. He is a massage therapist. He's a personal trainer, so many things. And I'm so excited to be talking to him today because I know we've all been feeling super tight from all the stress of coronavirus and so many other things. So I feel very lucky that he'll be giving us some tips here today. And we're also going to be sipping on one of our wines, our BACA Double Dutch Zinfandel. So I'm going to see if Joe's out there. Before he gets on, I'll just tell you right before this, I was drinking our rosé, which is canned. And if you haven't checked it out, you have to. It's delicious. Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's going on, Jennifer?
Not much. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Are you feeling relaxed?
Always. That's a lie, but right now I am, because I know I'm gonna have some wine.
Well, good. Well, a little tradition that we have here on our happy hours is instead of toasting, well, in addition to toasting, we pass you a bottle of wine through the magic of the internet. So I'm going to pass you a bottle of our BACA Double Dutch Zinfandel. See if you can get it.
See if
Oh,
I can get this.
you get it? Oh, there it
There it is. Amazing
is.
technology.
Well, cheers. Happy hump day to you.
Yes. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Mm. I don't know about you, but I felt like it's definitely time for a glass of wine today.
No, 100%. But it's 4 o'clock out there for you. This is appropriate time, I think, for me.
Hey, you know what though? In our line of work, like any time of the day, drinking wine is appropriate. So,
Exactly.
so I know you're based in Orlando. How long have you been there?
So I got into Orlando. I'm originally from the Northeast.
Cool.
It's
Connecticut,
up.
right?
So
Or
I grew up in Maine and then
okay.
went to college in Connecticut.
Oh,
Then lived in Boston for a little bit and ended up moving down to Florida for a job and ended up coming down maybe 5 years ago. And the winters are a lot better for sure down here.
yeah.
Definitely don't miss the winters up north.
I believe that for sure. No, I think that Florida has like some of the, well, the humidity's a little tough for me, but the temperature is amazing.
The winters are perfect down here, but yeah, the summers, it's every time you go outside, it's like you have to come back and take a shower immediately. It's too hot.
No, totally. How did you get into like, I don't know if you call it mobility training or just stretching. Like, how did you get into this line of work?
Yeah, so I started off as a personal trainer, doing kind of the typical stuff, more of the
Hmm.
strength training. And then when I actually moved down to Florida, it was for a golf academy.
Hmm.
And it was so important for the golfers to be flexible and mobile. And that's where I got introduced to that side of things.
Oh, interesting.
And uh, 4 or 5 years later, I realized it carries into other things that people do, from lifting weights to trying to play sports. And then also just, I mean, with all the Corona stuff, sitting at a desk all the time, being at home. So there's a lot of benefits from just getting some movement in to make you feel better so you don't go stir crazy.
Totally. I don't know if you get this a lot, but you just talking made me remember to adjust my posture. I don't know, whenever you're talking to people, they're always like adjusting how they're sitting.
Everyone's always careful around me. So whenever I see a client come into the office, they're like, "Oh, sorry, Joe, I don't stretch enough." I'm like, "I didn't bring it up." And then people will catch themselves. They're like, "Joe, your posture's so good." Like, and they, yeah, they immediately sit up a little bit
Yeah.
taller.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. It's kind of like if you're driving and you see a police officer, you're like, immediately adjust your speed to be,
I do
not
that all the
that
time.
not that I'm a speeder, but you know what I mean.
It's okay. It's okay. I think everyone's a little bit.
Fair, fair. Okay, I have a question for you. If I only have like 10 minutes to work out, 15 minutes, would you rather that I stretch or would you rather that I do some sort of strength training? Like what would, if you had to choose one or the other, what do you think is better?
I would do a quick warm up and then go into strength training.
Okay.
Uh, so I'm a big stretch mobility guy. Everyone knows me for that. And sometimes online people think that's the only thing I do, but
Yeah.
it's a piece of the pie. It's just a small sliver. And then strength training is so important too. It not only makes you stronger, but when you're working out and you're doing a lift, you're actually going through a stretch when you're doing that exercise. So your muscle is actually lengthening and shortening, which is what you're doing in stretching, but it's just under resistance, which is actually very beneficial. A lot of people don't know that working out and doing strength training will actually make you more flexible in the long run.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Why? Because you're lengthening the muscle, is that why? Or
exactly. So you're lengthening it under tension or load, and that makes it so much more effective. And that really changes the muscle structure and keeps it so it lasts longer, basically. So you'll always be a lot more flexible later on.
oh, that's good to know.
So
'Cause-
I talk about that a lot in my book, where it's stretching is great to gain range of motion, but then if you want to make it last, you got to get a little bit stronger too.
yeah.
So it really works together.
Okay. So, all right. I guess there's no easy fix.
No, of course not. Of course
You have
not.
to put in the work. Okay. All right. I know in a few minutes you're going to lead me through a little stretching thing because I know that we all, at least for me, I'm like this all day long on my
Hmm.
computer. So opening that up, I know is so important. But I do have another question for you. So I recently had, well, she's now 5 months old, my second child. And
Congratulations.
thank
I
you.
heard that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you. And I used to get a ton of Charlie horses, and I was just curious, what should I do? This is so random and specific, so I apologize. What do you do about muscle cramps in general? Do you think it's better to just wait for them to pass or stretch them? Like, what is your suggestion?
So stretching can be super effective. So if you ever notice you get Charlie horses, the muscles usually kind of contracted, it's tight, that's kind of what a cramp is. But when
Yeah.
you start stretching it, it kind of forces you to kind of stretch out the muscle and lengthen it, and then that can actually relax the muscle too.
Oh,
So when I
okay.
deal with this with a lot of my athletes, that's usually the version I'm used to.
Hmm.
It's usually from just being overworked and fatigue. So whenever that pops up,
That makes sense.
stretching can be super effective for that.
Okay. So when you're having like the Charlie horse, you stretch it then, or you just mean to prevent it?
Doing that too. So during it, it's really tough though because
I
uh,
know.
it's you can't control it. So it's super tight, and you're like, oh, like it's cramping up. But if you notice, if you try to, if it's like in your hamstring and you straighten out your knee, the tendency is for it to get better. So try to force yourself into a
Okay.
stretch when that happens.
Okay. I will. And then another question for you. If I could only do one stretch, like every day for the rest of my life, only one, what I know they're probably all your babies. Which stretch would you recommend?
So there's a stretch. It's kind of cheating. There's a stretch called the world's greatest stretch, and it's essentially like three stretches in one, and
Okay,
you're
fair.
moving. Yeah, yeah. So it's totally not one stretch. It's
Yeah.
three or four in one, but it's really good because it gets you moving. You start when you're standing, you lunge out, you rotate up towards the sky. So if you looked at my book cover, that's actually what I'm doing in it,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
then it works your hamstrings too. So you get some front to back stretching. You also get some rotation too. So you get a little bit of everything. It's really nice.
Okay. No, I think one of the things I like so much about your book and also just following you on Instagram is that you break things down and make them so simple that someone who's not used to stretching can easily follow. Like the pictures are super clear, both the pictures, the demonstration, and also the words that you use just make it sound so approachable. So I think a lot of people do benefit from that and will benefit from that. I
I
think.
know it's yeah. I tried to keep it as simple as possible, especially my Instagram stuff and into my book. It's kind of an extension of that, and
Yeah,
keep it super simple, keep it basic, and I think people will find it way more effective.
totally.
But I have a couple questions for you
Please.
because
Yeah, let's talk about the wine
yeah, because it's
or
so good at
anything, whatever you
explaining
want to
it.
ask.
Kind of like the steps on, because I know
Sure.
everyone swirls it, everyone sniffs it. Kind of like what happens when you do that and what's the proper way, because I feel like I think I know what I'm doing, but if someone like you watch me, you might be like, that might be a little off.
Well, I try to reserve judgment on everyone. I think that literally the only way to drink the only correct way to drink wine is just to drink it. There's no bad way, but one technique that I like to use we call the four S's. So first you see it, you want to look at the color because that can tell you a little bit about the wine, like how old it is and some other things. The brighter the color is, generally speaking, the younger it is. So if you like your wines younger or if you like them older, that can be helpful. And then you want to swirl it. And the swirling is helpful because it releases all of those sort of the molecules into the air that you're going to sniff in a second. But that's actually really important. It's not just for show. It actually was really important to release them. And then the third S is to sniff. So you really want to put your nose in there. After you've released all those aromas, you want to put your nose in and smell it. And then that's important because it tells you, well, mostly it's important because it tells you if it's a wine that you like. So if you like on this wine, I get black cherry, a little bit of licorice on the nose. Mm-hmm. And so if you swirl it, it'll release those aromas. And then the fourth S, you might be able to guess what it is, but it's to sip. So then you drink it and then see if what you smelled is the same as what you taste and how those might differentiate from each other.
And do you do the thing, I've seen a couple people do it, where they a little bit of get some air into the mouth?
I do. I've been told that it looks really odd, so I try not to do it.
So that's all right. It doesn't matter.
On Instagram Live, but you have to do it. Like if you look at professional sommeliers, they kind of like slurp it. And the reason why is because, you have 4 taste buds. Are they called 4 quadrants on your tongue, right? That taste different things, sweet, salty, all of them. And so by interacting it with air, then you actually get to hit all of them. And so it makes it more complex. Wine is one of the very few like foods or drinks that are actually complex that you can experience them on a lot of different levels in your mouth.
So I really got into wine because I'm fairly recent, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I was more of like a beer drinker, but now I definitely drink way more wine than I do beer.
I'm so glad to hear that. Good.
I know, it's crazy.
Like it.
I never thought the day would come. But I watched a documentary, I'm sure you know it, Somm.
Yes.
And I was like obsessed with it. This is amazing. And it must be so much tougher. Like, wine is not just drinking wine. It's way deeper than that. So that really got me into it, but I want to learn way more about it for sure.
Well, I think the best way to learn about it is honestly get a drinking buddy. It sounds silly, but having someone else, I mean, we're drinking buddies right now. Anyone who's at home.
I think I can find a couple people, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And then just open a bottle of wine together, or the same bottle of wine virtually also works, like what we're doing. And then just talk about what you're tasting. So like for me with this wine, I get a lot of ripe fruit, like cherry flavors. This comes from an area called Paso Robles, where it gets really hot during the day, but it gets really cool at night. And the heat during the day means that it gets really ripe. So it almost kind of tastes sweet a little bit, but then the coolness in the evening keeps it crisp. So it has a lot of nice like crisp acidity. And that's how I would describe this wine. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if there's anything that you want to share about what you're tasting, that could be a way that you can kind of increase your knowledge about wine just by talking about what you're tasting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just know it's easy to drink. Easy to drink for sure.
Well, one thing you probably do know, like you may not have the vocabulary yet, but you might be able to say whether you like it or you don't like it. That's something, right?
No, I like this.
Okay,
this
good.
is like right up my alley, yeah. I'm a little bit more of a reds guy just from, just drinking the wines that I do drink. But I haven't had that much Zinfandel, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Zinfandel's a really awesome grape. It's actually the only original grape to California or to the United States. Most grapes originally came over from France and Italy, and they grow in both places, both in Europe and in the United States, as well as some other countries. But Zinfandel really only grows in California, and it's something that is special and unique to our heritage. It came over during Prohibition, and it was planted during Prohibition, and it's just really special. We have 100-year-old Zinfandel vines, and that's something that you can't get with other types of grapes. So I'm a big fan, obviously.
Yeah, it tastes so good. I think it might be my new favorite.
Oh, good.
until I try the next one that you guys gave me. So.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm sure people might be thinking like, here you are, like a health expert. Why are you talking to me about wine? But I think stress relieving and like relaxing really do go together, don't you think?
I feel like I'm the relatable influencer in a ocean of people not being relatable. But for me, it's all about balance.
Hmm.
And the majority of my nutrition and diet and what I do on a day-to-day basis is healthy, quote
Hmm.
unquote healthy. So I really do live by kind of like an 80-20 rule.
I
And
like that.
when I do come home after a long day, or maybe I've been home all day, and I just want to chill out, watch some TV, maybe have a glass of wine. It's definitely something people shouldn't feel guilty about. But as long as the other pieces are there, I always try to emphasize that part because I don't want you just drinking all day, all night. Make sure you're active during the day and doing what you can, and then reward yourself a little bit.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I feel like life is meant to be lived, right, and to enjoy. So do the things that you know make you feel good, but also let yourself indulge a little bit, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will try to make you feel guilty if you have a little bit of something that you like. So don't feel bad about it. Drink a little wine, and
I like that.
that's what I preach.
Okay, I like it. Well, on that note, because I loved sharing with you a little bit about my wine, but I would love to hear more from you about stretching. Something that I'm going through that I imagine a lot of other people are, is I just feel really stiff at the end of the day. And you wrote this in your book that everyone you talk to says they feel tight.
Yeah.
And I think it's from sitting on my computer for most of the day. So I would love to hear from you any tips on just sort of getting better alignment, posture, anything you want to share. I would be so grateful.
So the number one thing I always say is try to stand up as often as you can and just
Okay.
move. That's always number one
Okay.
is get up, move. I do these things when I'm working called Pomodoros, where you actually work in blocks and then you
Mm-hmm.
take maybe like a 5 minute break. But that's when I get up and go clean something
Mm-hmm.
or grab something to eat or drink and then come back. So that forces you to get up. And also, if you're drinking some wine, make sure you have some water next to you too,
Yes.
and
Okay.
start chugging that. And you'll eventually have to get up and go somewhere to walk around. So that's number one: is just move
Okay.
more often.
Yeah.
If you are just sitting there and you just need a little bit of relief, you can also do stretches, especially since people are doing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
homework. Uh, just go on the floor, do some stretching. But if you actually want to sit down and do some stretches, like
Yeah.
desk specific
Mm-hmm.
stretches, I'm trying to see if you guys can see me because of we're half screen now.
Oh, I know. I wish I could give you the whole screen. I don't think I can.
So one of the things I'll just try to demonstrate as best as I can is do you do any yoga at all?
I do yoga. I'm actually, well, I shouldn't admit this, but I am actually certified as a yoga instructor
Oh,
with
okay.
Yoga Works, but I do some. Yes.
Oh, so this is right up your alley. So
Okay.
cat cows, all my followers know that cat cows are one of my favorite
Yes.
things to do because it works your full spine. It also works your shoulders, also works your hips. So it's a
Okay.
great big bang for your buck movement. Uh, and I've made some different alternatives. So sitting and doing a
Mm-hmm.
cat cow. So I'll actually
Mm-hmm.
put my hands out in front of me and
Okay.
then I'll tuck the chin around the back. And then I'll bring my hand in this way and then pull my shoulders back and stick the chest out.
Oh, that feels really good.
It's really good, and especially since we're always hunched over at our desk,
Mm-hmm.
anything to go the other direction is just going to be huge. So that
Yeah.
at least gets some movement in the spine if you are sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, so I like wear those out. I'll just do cat cows on the floor all day, every day. And
Well, it's amazing. People always say do cat cow, but really, honestly, even in that brief, like 10 seconds, I feel some relief in my back. I can't believe that.
you're
Like so
aware of
fast.
it too. You're like, ooh, that doesn't feel
Yeah.
good. Maybe I should sit up a little bit taller for the next couple minutes. And then people
Maybe I
slide
will.
back down, which is totally fine as long as you keep moving.
Okay.
Yeah, and then one is a side bend where I'll take this hand, I'll put it on the opposite leg on the
Okay.
outside. I take this hand, and then I'll just stretch over to the side. And what that does is just get the whole side of the body into the lat,
Got it.
down into your low back. And that muscle is pretty cranky all the time. So when a lot of people get that low back issue, there's a muscle on that low back to the side a little bit that gets a little pissy. And then you just stretch it out and it feels a lot better. So not only are we stretching and moving front to back, flexion, extension, now we get a little bit of that side motion. So we
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No, I do notice that it's one of the, do you ever hear from people that they don't know they're tight until they do a stretch and then they realize they're tight? Because I feel like I walk around all day, don't necessarily notice it, but if I do move and do this, I feel a huge release in the side body.
Yeah, I've heard it. I hear everything. Everyone's always says, "Whoa, what is that?" And
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to be aware of it. And for the most part, as long as it doesn't bother you too much during the day, you're pretty good. But it's always good to just have some good insurance and being able to move. That's always a good thing.
No, definitely. It's a good reminder. I need to go move after this for sure. Um, well, thank you so much. I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. Um, People should definitely go check out your book, Better Stretching. I downloaded it on Kindle, but there's also obviously you can order the
Mhm.
hard copy too. Is there anything else that you want to say before I let you go?
One other thing is more my question for
Oh, yeah,
wine is
please.
holding the glass. So I saw something where you always hold it by the stem and
Yes.
never hold it here.
Hmm.
And I think I know the reason, but I want to hear it from you.
Definitely. Well, I think first of all, I'm a big believer in like you should do whatever you want. There's no wrong way. But typically speaking, yes, you want to hold it by the stem. And the main reason, there's several, but the main reason is you don't want to affect the temperature of the glass. So if you have a white wine, for example, or red wine that's chilled, if you hold it here, it's actually going to warm up the wine that's in the glass. And there are technically like some sort of specific temperatures that you want to drink wine at. So if you hold it here, then the wine is still at the same temperature it was in when you poured it in. So
Okay.
that's the main reason. And also you look cool because you can hold it by the base and swirl it. You know, if you don't know what to say and you're sitting with someone, sometimes I just kind of swirl it around. And it's almost honestly like very relaxing to me to do this.
Whenever I have a glass of wine and I'm just at dinner, I always catch myself
Yeah,
doing this all the time. It's relaxing. It's like a fidget spinner.
it really is relaxing. And you didn't know it, but you're, releasing all these aromas. So it's actually making it, when you do want to sniff it, you're making it taste better. So,
That's perfect. And one more thing is, how
yeah.
does age affect the taste? Because I know you said the older it is, it's like, it's what's the saying? It's a
Oh,
age like
um,
fine wine or something like that.
women are like fine wine, they get better as they age, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like
And
that.
so, what does that really do uh, to
Yeah.
that taste of it?
Yeah, the main thing that age does is it reduces the fruit flavors and you get more of the aging characteristics. So you probably heard that wine is often aged in a barrel,
Mhm.
and wine barrels are made out of oak, and they're toasted. And so that toasting gives it um, a taste. And then also as you age, different things come out like leather, sort of like mushroom. I'm gonna sound kind of snobby now, but mushroom, forest floor, things like that.
You sound
Um,
like the Somme people, uh, fresh
okay.
cut garden hose.
Yes, yes, exactly. You could literally say the most random thing, and then someone would say, "Ah, yes, yes, yes."
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh yeah,
Children's poopy diapers, definitely, of
oh yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
No, so basically, when it's young, just kind of like any kind of food, when it's young, you get a lot of fresh flavors. So like this wine, when it's young, you'll get more cherry, more raspberry, more blueberry. And as it gets older, you'll lose the fruit flavors, but what you'll gain is more of the aging flavors like leather, smoke, things like that are also great. Um, they're just different.
That's I like it. I'm sure. If
Cool.
I'm lucky enough to have a very aged wine, I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Well, yeah, actually, a fun thing to do is to take two of the same wines and drink one now, and then, I mean, it's hard to sit on wine. I know this, but like you can wait a year or longer and then drink it later and then compare them side by side.
And I feel like it'll be one of those another lockdown, and you're like, where I just need something. But
Well, hey, if Florida goes into another lockdown and you want to do another wine tasting, please let me know. I would love to talk to you again.
for sure, and I definitely want to come out. I've never been to
Please.
wine country, and it's always been. I've been to California a couple times, but it's always for work. And whenever people ask me about wine country or what's your ideal vacation, I'm like, other than like some of the typical overseas stuff, I'm like, wine, California.
Oh, good. Well, come anytime. We have three tasting rooms. The main one for BACA is in Healdsburg. It's an awesome location. We'd love to host you anytime. I'll come personally. I'd love to greet you. Be fun.
That would be amazing. But no, thank you so much for this. I'm gonna finish the wine
Good.
after the live, but it's delicious.
Thanks, Joe. We'll hope to see you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye. See you
All right, bye.
later. Well, that was wonderful. I don't know about you guys, but I feel very relaxed and loose and stretched. I think that had something to do with the stretches we did with Joe, but also a little bit of our double Dutch wine that we just had and our ring around the rosé I had before we started. Thanks you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. You can check out more about us on our website. You can check out more about Joe on his Instagram and his website, Joe Therapy. And until I see you next time, I hope you're doing well.